So hot. Wait, so we actually was like I'm not sorry. I'm listening to a lot of in upstate New York, so I've been like very active, seeing each other. Kind of hear that. Just smiling back. It was. And it worked. I it wasn't so much. It was a little bit, but I was feeling pretty dry. Some of these are not days, that's what you go. But also it's kind of like the fireplace, except it's like snowing on Sunday. Keeps electronics at the moment. I like when I was walking up the whole thing. Work was relaxing, and I was like, in the car. Those are funny. They are. Those are like these are walking. Like just a series. Like there's two in the car and one walking. If I run out of space while I'm taking pictures of them, I'm
First, I'd like to thank all of you for being here and allowing us to share our work with you. We'll start with reading and then conclude with the gallery in the main area of the library, which includes individual work, collaborative work, and a multimedia presentation of our semester-long program-wide project. The disclaimer we'd like to offer to you, in accordance with our work, is that it's sometimes intense, but it's important to know this intensity is always in service of the piece and not gratuitous or solely for shock purpose. Story workshop, the method that shapes our writing, hinges on seeing in the mind. So we invite you to see in your mind as you read and listen the images, places, characters, and situations we have created. Thank you again for coming. My name is Angel Lopez, and we will start with my piece, a fictional piece in the form of poetry entitled World's Last Dance. The sun beats down and looks at me. The world around me starts to sink, and it seems that everybody wants to scream. My lady, my beautiful lady, can you have one final dance with me? The world around us is collapsing. I think it's time to start the action. Dance and twirl, come on and spin. Have a great time and don't give in. My lady, my deceitful lady, why'd you have to go and lie to me? Even so, I want to keep on dancing. End the story with beautiful thrashing. Have a look-see and see the world collapsing around me. My lady, my mystifying lady, and the world will one final dance with me. Thank you. Our next reader is Anay Gonzalez with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Angel. I'm Anay Gonzalez, and this is Hide Yourself. Wake up, get ready for school, and don't forget the mask you wear. The one that makes everyone think you're happy. Alright, now go to school. Walk with your friends to class. Don't forget to smile and laugh. Go to class, leave school, and get on the bus. As you get on the bus, your smile shakes. You don't know how much longer you can hold it. You arrive home, you change into something more comfortable. Your body aches at the thought of you still not at the point where you wish to be. Make yourself something good to eat. Now that you ate, text your friends. Then it's time. Time for you to take a shower. As you strip down your clothes, your mask falls as well. The water spreads throughout your body. Meanwhile, people are texting you asking if you're okay. The water slips down your hair, your face, chest, thighs, legs, and finally down the drain once again. You still don't accept that you always pretend that the water is the hand you wish for, the one that washes off your tears. You get out of the shower. Great, your eyes are red and swollen. You grab your phone and answer. Your fingers are tempted to type no, but you race over and type yes instead. You go to bed and lay down and grab your big pillow and hug it, imagining it's a normal human that cares about you. But it isn't, so all your tears just stain the pillow. You finally fall asleep. When you wake up, you repeat the process. Thank you. Our next reader is David Martinez with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Anne. I'm David Martinez, and this is Jewish Ashes. When I was a little girl, guilty girl, my blind mom told me, always hold on to my sweet hand. Those who have no humming heart, who have no pity stopping your own, once you let go of me. We held hands as we bathed in the muddy drops of water that bombed through the ceiling. She held my hand so she can feel my presence, which is what her eyes failed to do for her. We held hands as we ate the molded rats that the priest gave to us before he walked away into the rain with a face as if he had killed someone. Despite this, he still kept coming back because he could hear the jingle of the chains that came from our jointed hands. On Hanukkah, I imagined placing a pile of presents for the priest as a way to say thank you. However, it only managed to give me an actual reason to frown for once. We could buy him presents if we wanted to because we owed him our lives, but we never dreamed about it until now. We tried to force ourselves to sleep, but the singing of the words, "Burn the ashes of the Jews," just made our eyes open even more. It eventually made my mom let go of my pinky, but she immediately tightened her grip around me. All my blood quickly escaped to my head. When I was a little woman, my mom shared with me the secret to face my fears against the snakes, and that was to carve myself into stone and never move again. Thank you. Our next reader is Sarah Oak with the work of fiction.
Thank you, David. I'm Sarah Oak, and this is Time. Our times have changed now. The world no longer belongs to the hands of man, but into the hands of itself that it falls and consumes its entire being, confused and afraid. Everything has disintegrated, turned into dust when touched by the acidic air that was made to defend. Only one part remains alive. At the top that used to be frozen, ice cold, is now melted and warm to the skin. If you look from beyond the black space that surrounds the sphere, you can see the pastures, which are still green. And if you look closer, just come a little closer, you can see that the world is now separated by a thin glass wall, never shaken, never moved, never broken, impenetrable. And if you look even closer, you can see my hand meeting hers, and my other hand caressing her face, wiping away her tears. Inedible. She's on the other side, and if you pay close attention, you can see her fairly lit skin begin to burn away slowly into the poisoned air. Fearless and brave, she holds on and smiles one last time before disappearing with her tears left behind to turn into stardust. Thank you. Our next reader is Caleb Morgan with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm Caleb Morgan, and this is Retribution. Why is it that you defend humanity? Asked Jekyll in a very calm and uncaring tone. Why do you absolutely refuse to join us in our quest? Humanity is cruel, full of the worst that mankind has to offer. War constantly racks the planet. They kill for the stupidest reasons, and they let their world crumble to an utter waste, and make it miserable for those who are different than they. So why do you fight for them? Alex simply looked out to the lake. You have to look beyond what's on the surface. You only know what they have shown you. Humanity is capable of great evil. That much is true. However, they are also capable of great kindness. Among those who would wish the worst upon each other, there are those who want to make the world a better place. In a way, they're no different from us. They are capable of greatness, and they have as much resistance as we do. Alex ignited his blade, the hilt he held in his hand turning to a glowing green sword of energy as he pointed it at his brother. So I ask you, brother, why is it that humanity is destined to die? Why is it that you wish to wipe humanity off of the face of the earth? By all means, we are human as well, and we have a duty to protect the existence of our brothers and sisters. The strong have a duty to protect the weak. So I ask you, where do you stand on humanity's existence? I have every intention of protecting them, even if it means fighting my family. Thank you. Our next reader is Gilma Rios with a work of fiction.
Thank you. I'm Gilma Rios, and this is A Petal of Death. You're on a hospital with several machines around you. You are baffled as to why you're here, so you look around until you see a vase full of flowers. You walk to the vase and you try to reach for it, but as soon as you grab it, you drop it, letting the roses fall to the floor, and the sound of the breaking glass makes you wince. You crouch down and picked up a note attached to a rose. You walk back slowly and sit on the bed. You open the note and it says, "I'll love you until the last rose dies." You looked at the rose, noticed it wasn't real, and you smiled softly. A nurse came in, looked at the floor, and gasped, then ran and grabbed a broom and swiftly started to sweep up the glass and the rest of the roses. You freaked out as another nurse came in, holding you on the bed while taking the only rose you had left. They said you weren't supposed to touch the vase. They injected an anesthetic and you fell asleep instantly. You dreamt a rose-filled dream, and the roses started to disperse one by one. It got to the last rose, and it started to fall apart. Only a petal stayed behind. You closed your hand into a fist as someone whispered, "My love is as fake as the last rose." You took your hand off your heart, trembling. You looked at your right hand as your veins transformed to black, as they're spreading through your body, slowly reaching your heart. As it reached your heart, your eyes started to close on their own. A black smoke was lifted off of your body as your spirit wandered away from your body. Thank you. Our next reader is Juan Quintero with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Gilma. I'm Juan Quintero, and this is a plane crash. Suddenly, someone covered my mouth. His hand was as cold as a dead man's hand. It pulled me, and I tried to yell, but I couldn't. He told me to be quiet. I heard bushes moving. I stayed quiet and saw a pack of white wolves with the big red eyes. Almost a dozen of them. They looked so white, almost as if a coat of snow was covering them. They seemed harmless, but suddenly I heard a pig cry. One of them caught a pig, and the rest of the pack raced there. Nothing was left from the pig, just pure white bones. I was speechless. I didn't know what to think. I asked him, "Who are you? Where am I?" He said the plane crashed on an island. I thought I was the only survivor, but then I heard you. I've been trying to find people, but no sign of anyone. The weird thing is, I can't seem to find any bodies. I came to the plane crash and no bodies. No signs of anyone. Almost as if me and you were the only ones on the plane. After almost 3 days, there was still no sign of anyone else. The woods were too much area to cover for just the two of them. No way they could have time. Over time, they kept searching and no one could be found. They eventually gave up and began to sell themselves, building a wooden house, making beds out of leaves. The long cold nights and the moon shining on them was something they'll never forget. Thank you. Our next reader is Isaac Guerra with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Juan. I'm Isaac Guerra, and this is Another Day at Work. Semi-tall, his eyes sky blue, yet filled with the fiery pits of hell. His hair as black as his soul and his teeth as shiny as the knife he held. The man moved the sharpened knife from my throat, leaving a mark on the front of my neck. I stood up and followed him, keeping a safe distance. He pulled out a cart filled with utensils, scalpels, drills, hammers, knives, and other sharp or blunt objects. If I was going to die, I wanted it to be quick. So I chose the sharpest and longest item out of the cart, a long, rusty machete that was stained with dried out blood. A slight grunt scratched against his throat as if he was hoping I'd be different from his other victims. He picked up the machete and pushed the cart out of the way and asked me to take a seat, his voice softer than he looked. I sat down and accepted my death. He sharpened the front of the machete with a rock and threw the rock furiously at the wall, both the impact and the fall echoing. Before he began, a needle punctured the back of my neck, a slight sting oozing through my body like liquid. The tingling sensation numbed my body to the bone, making me completely unaware of any pain, so my death was easy to accept. Thank you. Our next reader is Silani Lugo with a work of creative nonfiction.
Thank you, Isaac. I'm Silani Lugo, and this is the day she left. The day she left was the day everything changed for all of us. I went to school just like any other day. When I got home, I expected her to ask me how my day was. Instead, I walked into an empty house and the sound of absolute silence. The woman I had so much love for was nowhere to be seen. I raced around the entire house and nothing, absolutely nothing. And when I saw her closet empty, my whole world came crashing down. She left. She actually left. As the thought finally sunk in, the room started to spin. The colors of my reality and nightmares mixed into an endless cycle. This unsettling feeling washed over me. In a wave of cold chills and dread, she didn't even say goodbye. I dropped to the floor in a haze of memories and heartache. Every day felt as if everything was coming to an end. Day after day, my father passed out drunk on the front lawn. My mother nowhere to be seen. Everyone else is doing God knows what. Now me, I guess I'm just trying to do whatever I could to live a normal life. Always smiling and laughing, but neither are ever genuine. It hurt more, honestly. Trying to make others believe that if I saved, you're so intent on making a reality. So broken that you might as well be left for dead. At this point, I wasn't even living anymore. Just surviving. We weren't even a family anymore. Just strangers who shared the same blood. I didn't think I could keep watching my father drink his life away. I just couldn't keep seeing my family slowly but surely drift away from what was really important, reality. Thank you. Our next reader is Miles Griffin with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Sitlali. I'm Miles Griffin, and this is Walking Through Darkness. Walking through darkness, I could feel eyes staring down upon me, their gazes burning my skin with their demonic red centers. Smiles began to take shape, their jagged teeth dripping with blood and oil. The skin of their faces, unseen, for they were covered in nauseating black smoke. They spoke of deals that would make me feel happier or set my mind free. I refused. Their smiles slowly disappeared as with every refusal I gave them. Anger appeared in their eyes. Then they bolted towards me, the oil and blood set aflame. Grabbing me, the smoke choking me, tainting my lungs. They tried to force me to agree to their deals, but no matter what they did, I still refused and denied them. Then they started to take my friends and family. Unable to do anything, I could only stand there and watch. Pieces of my heart torn away as they returned, never to be themselves again. I tried to warn the unaffected, but my efforts were futile. The deals I was refusing seemed more and more welcoming. Thank you. Our next reader is Jay Prather with a work of fiction.
Thank you, Miles. I'm Jay Prather, and this is Troubled Minds. Staring at the stars, laying on the cold, wet concrete slab on top of the mental hospital. I don't remember how I got here, but that doesn't really matter. I sit up looking at Moonboy, my perfect, pure, beautifully angelic Moonboy. I lean over, kissing him on his cold forehead gently to keep from waking him.
I get up and make my way to the edge of the building where Bottle Cap sits. He stares thoughtlessly into the sky, deep into the galaxy, floating shelled out of himself as always. But that's how he deals with things, and I can't blame him. His parents are gone, nobody knows where, and his little brother was 5 when he got kidnapped and turned up dead in the dumpster behind a church 8 months later. Bottle Cap is silenced by the many voices in his head, and he thinks no one understands, but I do, in different ways, and if I didn't, I wouldn't be here with him today. I can hear his antagonizingly loud cries through his stone-cold quiet face, and as for me, my father has always hurt me deep enough to destroy the places that now hold my non-existent innocence. And I tried to get away from it. I tried to release myself from the miserable house that has walls coated in despair, but I couldn't. So I dug myself down so deep I felt my body split, breaking each individual cell. Thank you. Our next reader is the lovely Maya Bruce with a work of fiction.
Thank you, Jay. I'm Maya Bruce, and this is A Writer's Lighthouse. Pulling myself away. Pulling myself away from the reflection and unwanted memories, I focused back onto my writing, undivided attention. I allowed my pen to speak for me, since I am writing a story in a letter format. I made my writing uplifting, so that it was like chocolate for the eyes and a blanket for the soul. I addressed my past, present, and what I wished for my future. It was time to clean out the dirt from under the rug. When I finished the letter, I placed it affectionately into the envelope, sealed it shut, and began to write the address to whom it was for, myself. I wanted to be done with this negativity my decisions had bred. I was done. I stamped the letter and set it aside, carefully laying down my pen onto my snake-skin journal as if I were putting my writing to bed, and then gently pushing away from the desk. I gathered myself and walked over to the northern chamber and watched as the ocean danced effortlessly for the tiny specks in the sky. And in that moment, I felt okay again. I knew I was going to fix my distorted pieces. Time will only tell, but until then, my misery loves company, and I am an incredible guest. Thank you. Our next reader is Evelyn Nahara with a work of fiction.
Thank you, Maya. I'm Evelyn Nahara, and this is my real father. I never knew who my dad really was until I was 7 years old. I went to his closet one day when he went to the store and found girl clothes, heels, makeup in the back of it behind all of his clothes. I was frightened. The door squeaked open, and I ran as I hid as he hurried to his room to make sure his closet doors were locked. I'm 16 now, and still wondering what my dad is doing with all of that clothes. So I went back into his closet after 9 years and was shocked to find double the clothes and all the different shades of lipstick. Who was my dad? I had to know. He said he was going to work on a Saturday, yet he never works on the weekends. 20 minutes before he left, I ran before him and jumped into the trunk of his old car and waited. We drove and parked somewhere. I waited more and then looked for the glow-in-the-dark trunk release and escaped. My dad wasn't alone. He was with some man I'd never seen before. He looked familiar, but I couldn't recognize him. The man got on his knees and begged for his life. My dad, showing no emotion, looked down on him, pointing the gun right in the middle of his forehead, and pulled the trigger. He had this fearless look in his eyes, like he'd done it before. Then I saw him lean over and kiss this man right under the gunshot wound. I didn't know what to think. I felt chills running down my spine, afraid he'd catch me, see the whites of my eyes, and my jaw dropped open. Thank you. Our next reader is Makaya Daniels with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Evelyn. I'm Makaya Daniels, and this is Identical Torment. They stared him in the eyes, and he knew what was coming. 6 of them, compromising him with only one goal, to hurt him. He begged them not to do it, but an instant pain rushed John's head. They started to attack him, And when it was over, they walked away with no one turning back but one of the 6, John's ex-best friend. A girl looked at him as he lay on the floor as if he was paralyzed. She didn't bother to help him up. She just walked away as if she had seen nothing. Later on that day, the same girl texted him and told him that she could no longer be with him. She gave him no reason, and he didn't bother to ask why, because he was used to her leaving. No matter if he could have solved the problem or not, when John got home, he saw his father passed out on the floor. He called Exxon, but there was no answer. He cried all day. He felt alone, and nothing in the world seemed to be helping him through the dark times. So he got a pen and a paper and proceeded to write. So, Kache vos mensonges Exxon. Wiping his face, he got up and went to the same building he met Exxon. A few moments later, Exxon knocked on John's door and John's father opened it. Exxon looked at John's father's fist and saw it was bruised. He asked where was John, but his dad didn't know. The night Exxon was on top of the building, John was too, but no one ever asked why. Thank you. Our next reader is Maya Brown with a work of fiction.
Thank you, Micaiah. I'm Mia Brown, and this is K2 drug dealer, Jacob Zingler. Standing in front of that place was like standing in front of hell. You could feel the demons extracted from the souls of people just waiting for people like me to turn a blinding eye to their existence so they can attain the little part of my soul that the demon of drugs didn't own. Opening the door, I was met with a genuine smile and a series of questions. I agreed with everything and signed the contract, and was given clean clothes to wear after my shower. I can't remember the last time I showered, but I know I never felt this good after having one. The room they gave me had a mirror where I was currently standing at, marveling at my appearance. Looking at myself, I realized I looked exactly like my mother, not giving off any key to who my father was. I was raised on the street, the obvious half explanation for my habits. The other half was from having a mother who didn't care for me, and the yearning for discipline a father is supposed to give you, but I didn't have either or. Growling in anguish, I threw myself back on the bed with a certain urge for a fixed pride in my stability state. My mind letting loose, I began to lull away, only to be stricken upright by the sharp feminine squeal emanating from somewhere behind my walls. Hands woven into the thin sheets, I clenched my teeth as my back hunched over, and I joined the moment in allocating our pain through our screams. Thank you. Our next reader is Sebastian Science with the work of fiction.
Thank you, Mia. I'm Sebastian Science, and this is Forever and For Always. She wraps her arms around me. I sigh and lean my head back onto her shoulder. She whispers in my ear that she loves me. I enjoy it. I crave it. She trails her hand off my chest to the side of my neck where she plants kisses that grow and blossom until they're tugging on my back and work down to my shoulder blades. She stops and I feel her delicate hands around my stomach. I feel one of her hands slide slowly up my back, creating trails of sensation. She holds my zipper on my upper back between her soft fingers and tugs it downward gently. I feel the zipper split as my stainless steel spine is exposed from under my rubbery skin. She pulls the zipper down to my lower back and watches my chrome ribs and wired circuits weave together like a cornucopia of life. My synthetic lungs support my human blood still flowing to my natural brain. She pulls the zipper all the way down to my tailbone and tells me to slip out of my skin. I obey. My metal body shines and gleams in the sunset. My scraped, rusted fingers spread out and welcome her fleshy, soft ones between them. She wraps her other hand around me and whispers in my ear, "You're mine." Our rings touch and I smile, forever and for always, to the moon and back. Thank you. Our next reader is Vanessa Arias with the work of fiction in the form of poetry.
Thank you, Sebastian.
I'm Vanessa Arias, and this is Bittersweet. I remember driving down an empty road, surrounded by dozens of flowers, each kissed by the sun, tinted a lighter shade of the night sky, and how I tried thinking of ways to forget you, at least as many as the millions of flowers surrounding the vast road. To forget the way I memorized the features of your face, your pale skin illuminated in the dark room by the empty moon. The windows are down, so the air dries my tears before they run down on the cheeks you once kissed. The flowing air tickles my ear, reminding me of the I love yous you'd whisper in it, purposely brushing your lips against my skin. The same lips I received my first kiss from. I stick my hand out of the moving car, feeling the air run through my fingers, as if trying to erase the fingerprints you left behind, the hand you once held in pride. Locks of black hair pulled back by the wind, and attempts to blow away with it just as you did. Thank you. Our next reader is Luis Frias with a work of fiction.
Thank you, Vanessa. I'm Luis Frias, and this is The Destination. I'm exhausted, deprived of my own sanity, looking into my soul, revealing my scars. It's dark and small like a small puzzle piece. It's useless and it lacks of meaning. Is this it? Is this where I die, cold and alone in the desert? It doesn't matter anymore. I now accept it and face the doors of death and let death take it all. Let all my lust, greed, selfishness, pride, wrath, and envy consume whatever's left of my soul, and truly understand what it means to be free from humanity. Now my memories flow through my mind like a movie, projecting my greatest hits and my greatest mistakes, revealing my soul and what it truly means to be a monster. On the verge of death, I'm awoken, strapped in chains in my old childhood room. I don't know if this place is my salvation or my damnation. On the edge of my bed, there is a man calmly grabbing the chains and removing them off my limbs. I look into his eyes and I see his sorrow, but there is something familiar within his eyes, as if there was a voice urging to be noticed. And then I remembered. I realized at that moment I was looking at my father, the person who made me into a monster. His eyes mock me in a way that engulfs me in rage. I reach out to his image and his image disappeared like a mirage fading away from existence. I'm exhausted and paranoid, begins to cover my mind, finally making me lose grasp of reality. I lay my head against the smoothness of my own sorrow and slumber all my pain away. Thank you. Our next reader is Neb Adamias with a work of fiction.
Thanks, Luis, for my boy. Alright, my name is Neb Ermias, and this is Cosmic Fighter. So, adrenaline was summoned, instincts were heightened during the body's preparation to defend. Identical beings allowed gravity to bring them down to my sight. They were pale skin with stark white hair, wearing camel, which aided in the tricking of my eyes under the leafy shadow. They gave me a death stare with their out of place blue eyes.